Actually, I had the pleasure of meeting President Obama while he was still in office. Probably one of the craziest experiences I've ever had in my life. Yeah, came out of nowhere. I was at the Daily Show, I was in my office, and I got a phone call from the administration. And someone on the other end was like, "Hi, Trevor, would you like to interview the President of the United States in the White House?" And I was like, "Do you ask stupid questions?" It's like, "Of course I want to meet the President of the United States. Are you serious?" And the day finally came, went to DC with my TV crew, and they set us up in a room which is literally opposite the Oval Office. We put all our cameras in place, and all we're doing now is waiting for the President to arrive. So we're staring at the door with bated breath. And the reason we're staring is because they don't give you an exact time of the President's arrival for his safety, right? So they just give you a window, like the cable guy. So we're all waiting there, listening to every footstep, every moment. And then he just popped in behind us, scared the shit out of everybody. Yeah, because there's a secret door, but they don't tell you, again, for safety, right? So we're staring at that door, and all of a sudden he was like, "Hello." And I was like, "Ah!" But I had a great time in the interview with him. He was really, really kind to everyone in the room, and then we turned off the cameras, and I promise you he became even nicer. We just had a conversation. I thought he was going to leave. I mean, he's President of the United States. You've got to go do something. And he just chilled for a bit, you know, and we spoke as human beings, and it went really well until he turned to me, and he said, "Trevor, you know, I got a show that I'm doing in a few weeks, a little thing that I thought maybe you'd want to pop by and perform, if you don't mind." I said, "Mr. President, I would be honored. You just let me know when and where. What's the show going to be for, sir?" He said, "Oh, well, Trevor, I'm doing a little thing for my AIDS, and I thought maybe you'd want to be there." I said, I would love to. Thank you. I'm sorry, a show for what?" He said, "For my AIDS, Trevor." I said, "You have AIDS?" And then he explained what he meant. And I wanted the earth to swallow me whole. Because I had just looked at the President of the United States and asked him if he had AIDS. And you know what the worst thing is that he was nice to me as well? Because I said that, and then he explained, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. President, I didn't mean that. I don't even know why I thought it's just like you said AIDS, and like the AIDS, you know, because here's the thing, in my defense, right, I get it now. He means AIDS as in the White House aides, the people who help the president. I get it now, but in my defense, where I'm from, AIDS is some other shit that doesn't help anybody. No one in Africa is walking around like, "Let me introduce you to my AIDS, huh?" So now I'm here and I'm frazzled. And I'm like, "Mr. President, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that. You don't have AIDS. You definitely. And even if you did have AIDS, there's nothing wrong with having AIDS. There's no stigma. We can still be cool. Actually, I don't even know why I'm saying this. I'm so sorry." And he's like, Trevor, calm down. Trevor, calm down." I was like, "I'm so sorry, Mr. President. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said I'm probably the dumbest person you've ever met, Mr. President." He's like, "No, Trevor, calm down." I said, I'm the dumbest person you've ever met." He's like, "No, Trevor, that's not true. I've met Trump." Get out of here! So smooth. I still can't believe the things Donald Trump says. He's such a... For me, Donald Trump is an emotional paradox, I'm not going to lie. You know, logically, I can process him. Emotionally, I struggle. On the one hand, I will admit I wake up many days terrified at the notion that he's president of the most powerful nation in the world. But I also must admit I wake up many days knowing he's going to make me laugh. Yeah, there's terror and there's joy, and I don't know how to feel. You know what it feels like sometimes? It feels like there's a giant asteroid headed towards the Earth, but it's shaped like a penis. Like, I think I'm going to die, but I know I'm going to laugh. You just look at everything that he does. The world we now live in because of him. Like, you realize we're living through history. You know, this will never happen in our lifetimes again. We're living through a time when we're all learning about the presidency at the same time as the president. That's never happened. How wild is that concept? You wake up every day reading the news, and you're like, "Wow, I didn't know that." And somewhere at that exact same moment, He's reading the same news going, wow, me too. And nobody knows where it's going to lead. Nobody knows what he's going to do. All we know is that he wants his wall. He wants his wall. Donald Trump wants his wall. He needs $25 billion the last time he asked. He needs it from American taxpayers because Mexico is smart. That fell apart real quick. I remember how confident he was at the rallies, people cheering for him. He was like, folks, we're gonna build. We're gonna build a wall, folks. Who's gonna pay? Mexico. And Mexico was like, we ain't paying for shit, man. We might build it, but we're not gonna pay for it, man. And I don't know if you've been following the journey of the wall, but it's probably the best comedy on TV, right? Because now they've started building prototypes of the wall at the border, right? Because Donald Trump said he wants them to test the wall first. I don't know how you do that. You know, it's like, try again. And because this is the prototypes, Donald Trump now has specifications for the wall. He now says he wants the wall to be made out of concrete, but he also needs the wall to be see-through, right? And the reason the president wants the wall to be see-through is because he said he's afraid that drug dealers from Mexico are going to shoot bags of drugs over the wall and it's going to hit Americans on the head as they walk by. So he needs the wall to be see-through so that Americans can see the drugs coming and catch it. Now, I'm not going to lie. I don't know what a see-through wall is. But at this point, I'm just worried that a contractor is going to come along and trick the president. He's going to take him to the border and be like, there it is, Mr. Trump. Your invisible wall. And then just to make sure he buys it, he's going to hire a troop of Mexican mimes just to be like, oh my God, you can't get through it. It works. Like the mind of Donald Trump. Oh, the other idea he had for the wall was he said America should build the wall out of solar panels. That's what he said. He said America should build the wall out of solar panels because that way the wall would generate electricity and pay for itself. Yeah. Now, I'm not gonna lie. That's a good idea, right? It's a good idea. Unless you know anything about solar panels or the sun or walls. Because the problem with that idea is that the sun is up, yeah? We all agree on that? We're still on the same page there, yeah? The sun is up, right? A solar panel wall is not gonna work because a wall is like this. So technically it's facing down. So unless you have like a really swaggy sun that's like, yeah, I shine real low, B, it's not gonna work for you. The only way it works is if you take your border solar panel and lean it at an angle to get the sun's rays. But if you do that, now you've just created a giant ramp for Mexicans to shoot into America. It's like, órale! The mind of Donald J. Trump. The J stands for Jesus. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah, a lot of self-loathing going on there. And he's always going after someone, right? He's always going after someone. If it's not Mexicans, it's Muslims. If it's not Muslims, it's Africans from shithole countries. And that one was my favorite personally, because I am an African and I've shat in a hole. I also liked it because like people came up to me and asked me questions. There was one man who came up to me after a show, really concerned. He was like, Trevor, hey, could I ask you a question? I said, yeah, go ahead, my friend. He said, hey, Trevor, I just wanted to know when Donald Trump says all these horribly racist things, do you sometimes just want to, pack it up, leave America, go back to South Africa and escape all this racism? I said, my friend, you don't go to South Africa to escape racism. That's where you go to stock up. Are you kidding me? That's the one thing that reminds me of home. Racism out here. Because we've got tons of racism in South Africa. And don't get me wrong, it's gotten a lot better. When I was growing up, we had apartheid. And, apartheid was basically the best racism in the world. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I mean, now you're going to feel bad and be like, oh, racism was the best. No, it wasn't. It was good, but not the best. And I experienced a bunch of racism, and everyone did. I never felt like it was a bad thing, mostly because of my family. My mother is a black woman, Xhosa woman. My father's Swiss from Switzerland. And them being a couple was against the law, and that was a problem for us living together. And so we experienced a ton of racism. And in case you're wondering, yes, Xhosa is one of the languages with the clicks in it, right? Xhosa, but not like in American movies, just so you know. Yeah, I've seen those movies where they have Africans and they're like, that's not a language. Yeah, even we watch those movies and we're like, I wonder what they are saying, yeah? Where are they from? I think they're from Cleveland. It's not just clicks. The clicks are consonants. We still have vowels. Yeah, I grew up in this family, and we couldn't live together. I could live with my mom, but my dad obviously couldn't live with us because it was illegal. And people would be racist to us all the time. But I was really lucky growing up because my mom is probably the most gangster human being you'll ever meet in your life. Right? Nothing got to her. Nothing fazed her. And I remember one day in particular, we were walking through the streets together, and some guy across the road shouted something really mean at us. And I was about 4 or 5 years old. And I turned and I looked at my mom and I said, Mommy, what do we do if people do the racism to us? And my mom said, oh, baby, you know what we do if somebody's racist? We take that racism of theirs and we shake it up with the love of Jesus. And then we send it back. And I was like, what? And I was like, this lady's crazy. And she was crazy, but she was also right. Yeah. I didn't even realize how right my mother was until decades later, which I feel is what always happens with your parents, right? They're crazy, and then you get to their age, and you're like, oh, that's what it means. I only learned the lesson my mother was trying to teach me when, as a grown man, I was walking through the streets of Chicago. Minding my own business, some guy drove by in a pickup truck and called me the N-word. And I'm not gonna lie, I was disappointed. Mostly because he was driving a pickup truck. Yeah, I just felt like that was an unnecessary stereotype that he didn't need to perpetuate. You know? I feel like if you're gonna be racist, do something different. You know? Think outside the box. Drive a Prius. Yeah. It's better for the environment, and it's quiet. You can sneak up on me. We both win. But no, the guy was, he was driving a pickup truck, called me the N-word, and, oh, to give you the full story, I was jaywalking, right? I was jaywalking, yeah. And I don't tell you this to justify what he did. I just want you to know that I'm no angel, okay? Yeah. I was crossing the road, and then the lights turned red for me, but I decided to walk anyways because I don't see color. And this man was so offended by what I had done that he drove his truck around me, rolled the window down, looked me dead in the eye, and he was like, get out of the road, nigger! Oh, and you could see he wanted to hurt me. We locked eyes, and I could see in that moment he was waiting for me to be like, no. But what that man didn't know was where I was from. More importantly, who he didn't know was my mother. Because he thought it was just going to be a regular racist day. He thought he was going to drive by, throw the N-word out the window, carry on with his life. He didn't realize that that was the son of Patricia stepping into the road. And it happened in a moment, but it lasted a lifetime. Because I didn't even think. He shouted that word, and out of nowhere, my body was like... I was like, oh shit, this is it! And let me tell you something, LA, it was so beautiful because I didn't plan it, I didn't think about it. All I know is I stepped into the road, he drove his truck around me, rolled the window down, looked me dead in the eye, and he was like, "Get out of the road, nigger!" And I turned and I was like, "You're my nigger!" And he almost crashed and died. Yeah, I've never seen a human being question themselves so many times in a split second in my life, right? Because I was smiling, and I could see in his face, he was like, "Wait, do I know you? Do I look like someone you know?" And I don't know why he did this, but I'll never forget it. He looked at his hands. He looked at his hands like they'd somehow magically turned black, like I had cursed him with a nigger bomb. I don't even know what he was thinking. Oh, I actually felt bad for him, man. Because I mean, I've been called that word before, but that was his first time. Like, you never forget your first time, you know? Yeah, but I'm sorry, I'm not gonna what? Is that what he wants? He wants to throw the word at me and then my day is spoiled? Is that how it works? And we'll be like, "Nigger," and I'm like, "I'm a nigger, come here, nigger." I don't have time for that, man. My mom always used to say, she said, "You can't control what people do to you, but you can control how you react." So I promised myself, I said, I'll never give a racist person the pleasure of seeing my pain. Maybe painful, maybe hurtful, but I won't give them the pleasure of seeing my pain.